Hey there, Joe Brunsman, cyber insurance broker to the stars, back with another interesting video for you. This week we're going to be talking about Spooktacular Cybersecurity facts. This is going to be part one of a multi-part video here in the month of October. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, before we begin, thank you to Cyberhoot Cybersecurity Awareness Training for providing these infographics. All right, so this infographic right here, about 2/3 of all organizations have experienced a breach in the last 2 years. What are the takeaways from this? Well, first of all, there's no hiding. So, if you think that your business is too small or you're too out of the way, you're in some small locality somewhere, some small municipality that's out of the way, they will find you. Your IP address is just like everybody else's IP address. So if they can find a way to make money off of you, they will find a way to make money off of you. They don't care if it bankrupts your business, if it destroys your family business that's been around for 200 years. They don't care. They will come after you. There is no more hiding. Next, make sure you actually understand the definition of a breach. It depends on where your clients are residents of and various federal statutes that you could fall under. So make sure you actually understand what that is. In some circumstances, hey, maybe you got breached, but you just don't know it because you don't understand what that definition is. So make sure you're taking that seriously. Next, just kind of a bare minimum. I think every business out there should have some sort of cybersecurity awareness training. You could really argue in many respects that cybersecurity awareness training is actually a legal requirement for most businesses. So please at least take a look into that. It's just kind of bare minimum cybersecurity 101. All right, next, let's talk about ransomware costs. So the average cost for ransomware has skyrocketed to about $84,000, and that's for recovery. So there's a lot that actually goes into recovery. Let's look at some of those takeaways. First of all, backups. You have to have backups. I'd highly encourage everyone out there who has backups. If you don't, you need to have some backups. Once you have backups, look at the 3-2-1 rule. I'm not going to define it here. I like everybody just to look that up to kind of get a better basis for what that means. But you need to have backups as an absolute minimum. Don't necessarily think that cyber insurance is going to save the day all the time, because it is much more sophisticated than that. There's a lot more technical measures and restrictions that actually go into place than you would otherwise think with just a very simple ransomware event. All right, next you have to think about the length of time that you could be down for ransomware. So it's not just, this time to recover. Yeah, it could cost you 84 grand, but you could be down for weeks and sometimes months. I've heard of 6 months for one business where they were down due to ransomware because they got into the backups. So there's a lot of things you got to do there, but really kind of baseline is you have to make sure you have the appropriate backups. That could save you a ton of time and money. Next, let's talk about passwords here. 80% of hacking-related breaches leverage either stolen or weak passwords. If your password is password or password 1 or password 2 or password 3, that is just simply not going to cut it. So first of all, I believe NIST actually now recommends that everyone just use password managers. Are they perfect? No. Are they going to be better than the average human? Absolutely. Next, make sure that your business actually has a password policy. If you don't have a policy in place, really no matter what you say or what you think is happening, it's probably not going to happen. So at the bare minimum, make sure you have that password policy in place. Next, let's talk about mobile devices. A lot of businesses don't think that mobile devices are a vulnerability. They absolutely are a vulnerability. So you can see here, 680% increase in mobile app fraud transactions over the last 3 years. 20% of all reported cyber attacks come from rogue mobile applications. So what can we really think about here? Well, one, make sure that the business, your business, has a mobile use policy. Next, make sure that your employees actually understand that if they're holding, say, business emails on their personal cell phone, they lose that cell phone, they have a ransomware event on their cell phone, they have some other type of kind of like interesting, strange things going on with their cell phone. Those are things that need to be reported to the business. Make sure that your employees actually understand that that could be a reportable event for you. All right, next, data breach. Now, 30% of businesses here said they would never again use a small business that actually suffered a data breach. So yes, inside of an appropriate cyber insurance policy, you can actually recoup lost business, but prospective business is something that we just can't insure for yet, probably never. So in these tough economic times, really the last thing you want to do is lose clients before they ever even walk in the door. And oh, by the way, depending upon the industry, you will lose some percentage of clients following a breach. So what are some of the other takeaways here? Well, as I was saying before, make sure you have that economic cost in mind. So don't just be looking at, oh my God, this, cybersecurity package is going to cost X number of dollars. Start comparing that to lost future business, current clients that you could lose, downtime. You could have your business name slung through the mud in the local media. All those things that are, somewhat intangible, but they really, really can add up to a lot of money for the business. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. Next, do you defense in depth? Have defense in depth, have defense in depth, have defense in depth. Talk to your IT guy, talk to your MSP. Make sure you have defense in depth. There is no silver bullet out there. There is no magic product that will shield you from all cybersecurity events. You have to have multiple layers of security to maximize your own safety. All right, next, let's talk about breach costs. And we're almost done here. Cyber attacks now cost small companies over $200,000, putting many out of business. So I can attest to this. So as a cyber insurance and professional liability broker, yes, we deal with cyber breaches all the time. And yes, they are exceedingly expensive. Some of those hidden costs would be, really the forensics. That's going to be a big driver of it. Trying to pay for that attorney. Those are quite expensive. This is very, very specialized knowledge. So there's a lot of little hidden costs in there. Some of this would also include losing current clients, right? Those prospective clients. Let's say you're going to need a PR representative. You're going to need a call center to field all the calls from your clients, and on and on and on. It just starts really adding up when you look at it. So make sure you're taking that seriously. Some of the other takeaways here, obviously cyber insurance. As I said, I am a cyber insurance broker. You don't necessarily have to work with me, but I do encourage every business out there that has computers, which is pretty much everybody now, make sure you have appropriate cyber insurance that would cover the necessary breach costs that are specific to your business. There is no best cyber insurance policy out there. It depends on your business. Once again, do you defense in depth, defense in depth, defense in depth, defense in back. And if I haven't said it before, I'll say it again, backups, backups, backups. You have to have appropriate backups. Next, let's talk about breach discovery. So yes, those hackers can actually hide in your system. It says here 200 to 250 days, according to Booz Allen Hamilton. Yes, I have actually seen this. I have seen where businesses have had hackers in their system for up to 6 months before they ever even discovered that breach was there. It is not rare. It's not as simple as you get a big flashing red screen and the IT guy comes running down and everything gets shut down. No, it's not like a nuclear bomb went off. These guys are very, very sophisticated. They will hide in your system and bleed you dry of all relevant information. So make sure you understand that. If you're in the mergers and acquisitions field, this is going to be a big deal. It's becoming a much bigger deal every single day. So make sure you're doing your due diligence there. Once again, backups, backups, backups. You need to have at least enough backup stored so that, hey, if you have to go back, worst case scenario, 250 days, I'd say that's better than just starting from absolute scratch. That is soul crushing. I've seen that happen before to a business. You do not want to go down that path. Defense in depth. I think everyone here is seeing the trend. And of course, cyber insurance to assist you with this. And once again, make sure you understand what the definition of a breach is. Just because a hacker is in your computer system, that's really a cyber event. It's not really a breach until there's a legal determination made by a qualified attorney. So make sure that you actually understand what that breach definition is, or you could get in trouble. All right, wrapping up here. Takeaways on healthcare. Healthcare breaches are just going through the roof. And you can see that there's this giant rise here over the last couple of years. Why is that happening? Well, one, you can personally ransom people with their healthcare information. It's very, very personal. Two, a lot of that stuff just doesn't change. So, something like your social security number, various like health count or healthcare account related accounts, they kind of just stay the same. They're very, very hard to change. So there's a lot of information. And I can tell you that like your local dentist's office, say the local chiropractor, if they're small, they probably don't have the best cybersecurity. Those businesses tend to have really tight margins. So please be careful out there and ask appropriate questions. Day 9, we're 1 day away. All right, phishing. These are some of the things that you will actually see. These are common trends inside of a phishing attack. So the takeaway here is have employee training. Humans are just phenomenal machines at recognizing patterns. You have to be able to empower your staff to recognize what those patterns are. Those patterns can change over time. I even do cybersecurity awareness training myself because I think it's, well, one, it's a legal requirement for us, but two, I think it's that important. I deal with this stuff all day, every day. I'm seeing breach reports all the time, but there's always some new method that these bad guys are using to try and part good people from their hard-earned money. So, if you just have the normal, the IT guy comes in once a month for the staff meeting and just says, hey, don't click on the wrong link, that is not going to cut it for you. All right, let's talk about credentials. How much does your information cost on the deep web or the dark web? It could be as little as $2 for a username and a password. What can we really take away from here? I would really encourage everyone to consider the deep web or the dark web monitoring services. I'm going to make an entirely separate video just on this topic. But the gist of it is, if you can just get notified very shortly after that information goes up for sale, that is just time that is, you can put that money in the bank because now you can shut down that access there. You can change the password, try and do an internal risk of harm analysis. The odds of something bad happening just go down when you know that your stuff is up for sale. All right, with that, if you enjoyed this presentation, this is where you can go to get a free copy of my new book. Cyber Insurance and Compliance is the topic. The title is Damage Control. You'll see down here in the bottom right. That's where you can go to download my book. And with that, stay safe.